A fun night at CBP. That seems to be a common trend as of late as they whip the Orioles by a score of 5-0. Marshy is turning it around, and he's hot as hell. He's smacking bombs. He's getting RBI doubles. Cool to see him. We'll get more into the Max Kepler storyline as the program moves along. But this is where I want to start today's show. I've been very harsh on this team all year long. But the assessment period is over. It's been long enough. We've seen the deadline. We know what Dave Dombrowski did to try and put the best product on the field once the deadline hit, and this is where we stand. And personally, I've been trying to figure out if I'm just going to be the negative you-know-what for the rest of the way and not enjoy a potential postseason push, or not blindly go after it, but be more willing to look at their strengths. Be more willing to at least approach a postseason potential run with some positivity. And I'm very conflicted on how to feel. But I was listening to the afternoon show on Monday, and they hit on a very similar topic that I thought was fascinating. So I want you to hear what Spike had to say to start the week about how he is approaching this postseason run.
They can win the World Series, and I am not doing this thing where I go into the playoffs at an arm's length because this thing isn't perfect or that thing isn't perfect or this guy isn't playing. Look, I will be critical. I will be honest, all of those things. But I refuse to go into the playoffs this year the same way that I went in last year, thinking about what was wrong with the team, that the Mets are hot and blah, 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 blah. This team is not perfect. I wish they did do more at the deadline. But the thing is, you look around the league and no team is perfect. I think they can win the World Series. I am ready to be hurt, and I am not going to keep this team at an arm's length as we go into the playoffs.
I can't agree more. I cannot agree more with the mentality as a fan when you think about October. When you think about CBP rocking, when you think about their new closer, Duran, running out of the bullpen with 40+ thousand people going legitimately crazy, and the whole light show is happening, and it's a one-run game, and the atmosphere is wild. You know what? I know that their outfield is weird and flawed. I know that their offense is inconsistent. But I also know Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber are playing like superstars. I also know that Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler as a 1-2 punch is a pretty damn good 1-2 punch to go to war with. I'm not going to act as if I'm not aware of their issues. And I'm not going to act as if I think they are somehow a favorite to get this done. But I have focused a lot on what is keeping me from going 2 feet in. And maybe I'm not giving them enough credit for what they do have compared to where some of the other teams are. And this is just how I operate personally as a fan, and I'm curious if you are willing to dive in, if you are willing to attack as a fan and say, let's go do this. Let's go to war. Let's go see what happens. I'm willing to take my best shot with this crew. And where the ball lies at the end, okay, we'll play it as it lies. But as for right now, there's only one thing we can do. That's put our head down and approach this with our best foot forward. And that's where I am. I've bashed them forever. I was disappointed in Dave Dombrowski from day one. That's even including the winter and the offseason and the disappointment of running it back with a similar offense in a similar order than what we've seen in years past. You know, it's the same thing. It was the same exact issues. You got to do something for a facelift. He didn't. You needed to add more in the outfield. He didn't. But there still is some legitimacy here. You have superstars in the middle of your order. And while there may be inconsistencies with other hitters, this is how it may work. If Bryce and Kyle don't slow down, if Nick is hot on one night, and maybe it's Marsh the following night, and maybe it's Stott who has a big at-bat the night after that, you have your 1-2 punch in Kyle and Bryce. You can have 3 stars, and that third star be rotated by whoever's day it is. If it's Trey, if Bohm comes back and Bohm has a big day at the office where he has 3 hits and Kyle and Bryce are striking fear in the opponent's eyes and the other team's pitcher is very scared, and maybe they put them on base because they say, okay, anybody but those two will take our chances, but then they leave a pitch up for JT Realmuto who pounds one to left field, or Nick swinging at the first pitch drives one to left center field and it goes over the wall. Now it's a 3-run blast and the Phillies explode. Because you know what happens, especially when you're playing at home? When you start to go on a surge, a power surge, and it just keeps rolling into the next guy and you pass it off to the next hitter and it's constant fireworks, it is overwhelming and the other team most likely disappears into thin air. Poof, they're gone. Because it's just overwhelming and the presence is wearing you down. And maybe that's a way that this is going to work for this crew. It's not perfect, but I'm willing to emotionally attack and say the past is the past. My feelings were my feelings. I still obviously have the same fears, but I'm just not as dialed in on them. Knowing that they're there, I'm ready to be a fan and say, let's go. 215-592-9494. So that's what Spike had to say. Here was Ike responding to Spike. This is how it sounded.
The only thing that gets me is, and I'm ready for it as well. Listen, get our hearts broken, we bounce back. It builds character. I'm good with that. I still don't feel confident in the hitters, right? Like, I still don't feel confident. I have more of a hope when it comes to going into the postseason with these guys. I have way more faith in the pitching.
Same. Of course, no doubt about it. That was their trademark all year long. Their starting pitching was phenomenal. We still got to see this wave whenever Aaron Nola returns. Maybe that adds another layer to this, and then it lengthens out some of your staff more, right? As much as we can hope for, and that would be great to lean on his strength. It's almost like the Padres, right? They doubled down with their bullpen, and they acquired more talent there, and they have what seems like a 7-headed monster in that bullpen. Well, if you can get Aaron Nola to return, who I have more confidence than a lot of others do. I thought the reason why he pitched poorly was because he was hurt. And now that he's not hurt, we will see a better version of Aaron Nola. You slot that in there and you got Wheels and Knowles and Sanchez and Ranger Suarez. That's a really good 4 to go into the playoffs with, and that's your strength. The offense is the offense. You're going to have to hope that a day where the offense is only scoring 2, that you win that game 2-1, that you win that game 2-0, and that falls on a day where Sanchez can roll through 8 innings with 89 pitches, and then you go to Duran to shut it all down. And while it's hard to rely on that every single day, if you can rely on that once, and then the following night your offense is putting up 8 runs and hitting 3 homers, now you got 2 W's in your back pocket in a 5-game series in the NLDS. Or in a 7-game series, you found a way to go up 2 rip because of those 2 ways of winning. It's not how I would prefer to do this, but I don't think it's an impossible way to do this. And knowing that, I'll lean into it. It's time. I'll complain for majority of the season because that's when you learn about who your roster is and what your identity is and your DNA, and you just get an understanding on what the personality is going to be about. I know now. I get it. I see it. I'm afraid of certain things. I like other parts of them, and let's go. It's just time. Let's go. It's August. You got some big series coming up here after this AL gauntlet, which is a bit strange. And this isn't just a product of beating the Orioles. It's more of a big picture and a big body of work sort of takeaway. But I am willing to remove my anger and remove my frustration. For now, I'll react accordingly when the season's all said and done. But for now, I'm putting my hands in the dirt saying I'm ready. Are you with me? 215-592-9494. Let's go to the phones. Let's start with Scott in Delaware. You're on WIP. Yo, Scott.
Yo, what's up?
What's happening?
I went to the Iron Pigs tonight.
Okay.
And saw Mr. Painter.
That wasn't very good.
He looked like, like a third grade. This painter, yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. No, anyway, he did. He was hitting 95 and then 80s on his changeup. The issue is, I guess, the Phillies had built us up to think that he was coming in, in the next 2 months.
We ain't seen him.
I think it's next year.
Yeah, we ain't seen him. He went 4 innings, allowed 5 earned runs, walked 4 batters, and only 4 strikeouts in 90 pitches. So, yeah, it's been terrible, unfortunately, for Andrew Painter. We're all aware of the injury stuff. But to your point, though, Scott, of not seeing him, this was supposed to be an internal fix to this bullpen or just an addition to the pitching staff this year to help you, and now it's not an option. So it is a bit of a bummer.
Now, on the positive side,
yes,
we have a freaking closer.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Somebody went out there and got hey, you're a closer, do your job, go out there, do your job, and he does it, man. He just brings it.
He does it, Scott, more than even what a traditional closer. 103. And it's every pitch.
What the? No, and the 98 splitter, and then Kruk goes, what, a 98 splitter? Right? What was that? Is that true? It's
it doesn't make sense.
Four pitches to the tarantula. That was awesome. And then the other guy that came over with him, I'm really glad he hit a home run. I mean, the only thing they really didn't address was the outfield. We've had that an issue for 2.5 years, and it seems like if a guy can play defense and hit 275, 80,
Are you talking
good.
Bader hitting that?
Yeah.
I think he might be more in the 250, 260 range, but if it comes with some pop, then, and good defense.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have been struggling with the outfield for 3 or 4 years and never got addressed.
I know.
That's my point.
So, Scott, real quick, before I let you go, do you feel positive? Are you willing to put some of the negative thoughts aside and really go full throttle into this postseason push, or is your wall up because of the most recent failures in the playoffs?
No, actually, your prelude, it was hey, we're going. The bringing in this new energy is gonna challenge our core team to do better, because they come out first night. This little tarantula comes out and does his job. It's like, everybody else, do your job.
Sure. Yeah. No, you know what? That's a good way to put it, Scott, and thank you for the call. That moment where he came out and CBP was loving it and everyone brought out their cell phones and you saw the reaction and 4 pitches and it's bada bing, bada boom, it's over. We're not playing any games and this is how it's going to go. There could be a sense of urgency for everybody else. This deadline acquisition is extreme. This deadline acquisition, this one in particular, I'm saying, in Duran, is so special. It's so needle moving. It's so deadly, it's so overwhelming that this is it. If you feel you're in that clubhouse and you look around and wonder, did Dave Dombrowski get what we were looking for? And then you see that on day one, it almost puts it in perspective of, holy hell, this is an elite game-changing back end of the bullpen. No one is going to hit this guy. So if we have the lead heading into the 9th, this thing's going to be wrapped up. That feeling that they have, maybe it does give them a different sense of urgency that, let's go. Similar to how I'm feeling now. Me, just someone watching. Me from a distance. Me watching from 1,000-foot view is already realizing that the moment's here. Internally, I'd imagine they also feel that, probably multiplied by 1,000. Multiplied by 2,000. If I'm feeling it, they got to be feeling it. And they got to be feeding off the energy of what Duran brings. In regards to Bader, I said this at the time, and I feel very similar. I think Bader is better than all the options they had. I think he's a major leaguer, okay, where I didn't think Johan Rojas was. I didn't think Max Kepler was playing to the capabilities of what his ceiling is, obviously. And Bader is a major leaguer. I wanted to feel the same way I did about Duran with Bader. I don't feel that level of intensity, but I do think that he is better than what you had. But when I watched him get his first start and I watched him get his first couple of at-bats and he was struggling, it looked to me like he was someone who really wanted the moment and wanted to make a loud splash and wanted to make the crowd erupt, and he wanted it so badly that it was somewhat taking him out of having a good at-bat or making good contact, and he just wanted it so badly. I'm sure that sigh of relief of hitting the 3-run jack the other night maybe can settle him down into a more comfort zone since he established himself as, someone who's got some pop to his bat and who can play, and he finally got the monkey off his back, if you will. But he's been waiting for that. He wanted that crowd to pop. That's why when he was rounding first base and going to second, he had both of his arms up, looking up to the sky like, thank you. He was waiting for it, and we'll see what that means moving forward. But maybe there's something to the rush that they get from the two guys that Dave Dombrowski brought in, regardless on how you felt, I felt, or anybody else felt. It's about how the team was impacted by the moves, and maybe that created a spark and some urgency of this is it now. All right, fellas, there's no more beating around the bush. There's no more making excuses. There's no more X, Y, and Z. It is ready to gear up for the real time. And we'll see what this means moving forward. But it's been a great start for sure. Let's go to Mike in Williamstown. What's happening, Mike?
What's up?
What's up, Mike?
All right, brother. You are the guy we needed, man. The Flyers guy. We don't need to hear about the Sixers anymore, all right? They're bottom of the totem pole. We got the Eagles, the Phillies, and then it's the Flyers.
I love the Flyers, and I love the Sixers, so it puts me in a very big predicament, Mike.
Hey, yes, sir. I mean, I hope they all do well, but the Flyers are number 3 right now, so we're looking forward to that.
All right, I'll take it. What do you got on the Fightins?
The Fightins, man. Duran, he is energy. Is exactly what the Phillies needed, is energy. The guy just brings nothing but energy to the stadium, to the city. Even if he doesn't do too well, which, I mean, in his recent past, he's done excellent. But his energy is what that club needs. And I love to see it, man. The whole stadium is rocking. The whole city's rocking. I'm from South Jersey. The whole South Jersey's rocking.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm a South Jersey's man myself. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Dude, I agree. I think that there's something about his presence, his demeanor, the way that he's been accepting to the fans, just talking even prior to his first nod and everything about – it's funny. It's so true, and I forget who said this, so I apologize. But I was listening to the station over the last couple of days, and it was something along the lines of, you go to Citizens Bank Park because Bryce Harper. You go to Citizens Bank Park because of Kyle Schwarber. There are people now who rightfully so go to the ballpark hoping to see their closer because he's that much of a special demon. And that's why Rob Thompson got booed tonight, because they wanted to see him so badly. I mean, that's a big deal if you have somebody like that coming out of your pen, especially knowing what we've been watching over the last whatever many games prior to him.
Oh, exactly. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of, and we're all part of it. The one negative thing I have to bring up here is Kepler. You know, he always, on his last stunt, does something amazing. And it pained me.
Yeah,
I mean, I was so ecstatic to see it. It was awesome. But his recent month, it's like we know what he brings to the table. And his last calling, he does this. I don't see him doing this in a series in the playoffs. I don't see this happening as a positive in the postseason. And that's all we care about. And I think Bader's our guy that is going to eliminate that factor that we don't have to worry about. But it's just so troubling to see him on his last factor every single time he does something so amazing. I mean, 2 for 2 or 2 for 4 tonight, 2-run home run, a double, like everything was perfect tonight.
He's keeping his head above water, Mike. Hey, before I let you go, are you willing to fully let the flaws go aside and really open up the heart, if you will, and say, let's see what happens in the postseason, or are you still skeptical with your wall up?
I want the friggin' Mets, and I want to crush them, dude. Walls are down. Come on in. And let's battle.
I love
let's
it.
Go to battle.
I love it, Mike. Thank you so much for the call. 215-592-9494 if you want to get in. Are you allowing your walls to go down, your emotional walls? Because mine were up All right, my walls were up big time. Nobody was breaking through, and I had so much PTSD and scars because of everything that went down over the last few seasons. But, I mean, this is what it's all about. It's just the truth. This time of the year, let's go. And if we end up breaking and failing and it's miserable again, then whatever. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not naive. I know that there's a chance that everything that bothered me throughout the first 100-something games may pop up in the playoff. It's not as... So, how do I say this the right way? When they were facing the Diamondbacks, I was crushed because I didn't see a way in hell that they lost to that team. Once it was coming back to Philadelphia, there was no shot I saw them losing. Last year against the Mets, I didn't see them losing to the Mets. So I went in there with this confidence, this arrogance, this cockiness, this insane belief where it was never going to go another way other than the Phillies advancing and improving. I was wrong. It shattered me. Now, I'm going to lean into the positives, but it's not as if there's no way in hell the Phillies lose. So there's more wiggle room in reality in this playoff push, if that makes sense. Buzz, I've been listening to you when you host and when you're producing, filling in and all, and I know you've pretty much stayed on the positive side throughout this whole journey, more so than me by a large margin. So I want to know, how do you feel hearing this side of me? Are you allowing me to enter this side? And just your overall philosophy on it being time to buy stock in the positives.
Yeah, I want to know where this was a week ago at the trade deadline. I don't even know who I'm listening to right now. Sure, you're welcome aboard. I think here's a general sentiment, not just about you, but maybe the fan base in general, right? And to an extent, I understand what I'm about to say, but I think it's important to keep this perspective.
Okay.
Which is that baseball is a very, very, very long... I sound like a player or manager right now.
Dude,
but
yes, you do.
But it's a very long season, and it's one of those games that requires like the law of averages to play out. Now, we all know what this team's strengths and weaknesses are. Perhaps the strengths and weaknesses have never been so pronounced in a Phillies team that I can really remember, where everyone at the deadline was like, yeah, they need bullpen and offensive help, and specifically in outfield. It wasn't like some debate as to, you know what, I think they could use the deadline, go help that rotation. Or go, like, no, everyone was on board. This is clearly what they need to do. And the only debate was to what extent they should go to do it. Right? I tend to think they had a better deadline than most people. I look around Major League Baseball. As someone who follows baseball year after year after year, I actually think we're seeing teams get less aggressive at the trade deadline in general than we used to see. I mean, there were 3 top 100 prospects that got moved at this deadline, and 2 of them got moved by the Phillies. You don't see deals like Gleyber Torres getting moved for Aroldis Chapman anymore, like the Cubs did back in the day, to win the World Series. But overall, this is a good baseball team that's going to win in the 90s. I never backed off that. I always said that this team had enough talent to do that, that they're going to be right in the thick of things to win the division. Right now, they're 2.5 games up. If the Dodgers lose this game that I have on TV back here, they'll be in the number 2 seed in the entire National League. They're second in World Series odds. Like, I think it is important to remember that the vast majority of teams would, in a heartbeat, trade for this Phillies position. And that the vast majority, and that ultimately, while we have the emotions of previous seasons, that does not actually impact this year. The way they lost to the Mets last year, or the way they lost to the Diamondbacks in 23, maybe the players carry some mental burden of that, but it doesn't really impact how good of a team they are right here, right now. And the last thing I'll say on that is, unlike the Sixers, who I think people carry the same mindset with, of like, unwilling to get hurt, wake me up when they get out of the second round, just fast forward to the playoffs, is that the baseball postseason is significantly more random. It's a little like hockey. To relate it to you, it's a little like hockey in that you see teams all the time just get in and catch fire. Hockey is a sport where, Jonathan Quick can lead the 8-seeded Kings to go win the Stanley Cup.
Good pull by you.
And meanwhile, the best team of all time in the regular season, the Tampa Bay Lightning, didn't win a singular playoff game. Baseball's a lot like that. Go ask the Dodgers, who won the division for 10 years in a row, and finally they won a 2020 Mickey Mouse title, and finally in a real season broke through last year. Right? Baseball is random, and the Phillies have, I would say, more than a puncher's chance to give themselves a really, really good chance to compete in October. We all know what the flaws are. It frustrates us. But if you're unwilling to admit this is a really good baseball team, I think you're missing the bigger picture.
All right, listen, I want that energy today. So that energy is what I'm looking for. Now, if you feel the other way, and you're saying, Brodes, you are an idiot. You're getting sucked right back in. You're stupid. You know there are issues. Don't pretend those issues aren't there. You're smarter than this. Well, then talk me out of what I'm trying to talk myself into. How about that? 215-592-9494. But in all seriousness, the way I operate is this. I use majority of the season to assess. And then I sort of get my foundation. And then when it kicks into gear, which is post-deadline, and once everything settles and the teams are the teams and whatnot, then it's time to put your hands in the dirt and say, it's postseason, boys. Let's go to war. And where the ball lies, and we will address accordingly. Whenever the season ends, whenever it's all said and done, whatever goes down, when we have the information and the data on why they won or why they lost or why they put up a phenomenal effort against the Dodgers, it could have went either way in a 7-game series. They just happened to lose Game 7 in an epic way, and whatever. However it goes, we'll talk about it. But for me, heading into the playoffs in August, you start to smell Eagles training camp. You start to smell the games mattering more for the regular season in baseball. It's now. And I'm willing to let my walls down a bit because it was tense. For a while, it was very, very tense. And it was maybe too tense. And I'm opening up my heart. What say you? 215-592-9494. That's the phone number. Would love to hear from you tonight as we roll into the 11 o'clock hour. Coming up next, a player that I can't be more proud of on this baseball team. I'll tell you who that is. It's Brodes, it's you, it's 94 WIP. 215-592-9494. We're going to get right back to the phones here. This is what I'm asking you because I have been hard-headed all year long about this team. I've hated them. Now, it's a love-hate relationship. Of course, I love them, but they bother me. It's disappointment in somebody you love. We've all had that happen in our lives. That was me with this baseball team. So I have been destroying them and ripping Dave and crushing a lot of the players and the inconsistencies with the offense and even some of the bullpen arms like Matt Strahm, who I'm going to have to rely on in the postseason. I shake whenever I see him on the mound because I'm uncomfortable. So all of this was real, and a lot of this still continues. But sometimes there's a certain point in the calendar when it's time for a shift. Now, it's a logical shift. It's a mature shift. It's not irrational. I'm not going 0 to 100. I'm just recognizing that while what scares me is their flaws, there are a lot of positives to sink your teeth into. And for majority of the season, I was wondering if those flaws would get fixed. If they do, by how much? Do you have to trade for them? Do you have the internal fixes? Do your strengths improve? By how much? Did you trade for it at the deadline? Do you have internal fixes to make that even get better? I was trying to figure all that out and put the puzzle pieces together throughout the 100-plus games to get to this mark. I have all the data. I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't feel as confident as I have in other years. But they still have a decent shot at it if they play their best baseball. Will they? Well, I don't know. Would I be stunned if Trey Turner's bat continues to go quiet? No. Would I be stunned if he has a bad error? No. Would I be shocked if this offense starts swinging at crap in the dirt? No. No to all of it. No, I wouldn't be shocked. But would I be shocked if Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper ripped the cover off the ball? And now JT Realmuto or Nick Castellanos, one of the two, helps with production as well. And they flirt in some solid ABs, and there's a single or a double to keep the inning alive. And then Brandon Marsh ropes a double. And now it's not just Kyle and Bryce that are carrying everybody, but they start it and then others follow. No, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened. And then Duran comes in a 2-run game and shuts the door easily. No, I wouldn't be surprised with that either. So all I'm saying is I'm more willing to focus on those areas that are a little bit more uplifting and positive than I ever have before, because the calendar is shifting to these games feel different. These games are starting to have a different, just a different tone to them. And it's not anything other than it's August. You could win the same way that you did against the Orioles 2 nights ago or even tonight in May, and it's the same hitters hitting the same way. It's the same pitchers pitching the same way. It's the same outcome and the same result, but it's May. And that's where I think the timing of this all is really what's moving me in this direction more than anything else. And I know that there's a lot of frustrated Phillies fans out there. And what I want to know from you all, and because I was a part of that group, and I still am, is are you willing to move off that stance for the enjoyment of being the fan? For the enjoyment of what the beauty of sports is all about? You don't have to be silly, where you just throw out everything about the team that concerns you, because I'm not doing that. But I'm just putting more of an emphasis and highlighting more of their strengths. Because I do think that the addition of Duran gave him a kick in the rear end. I do think there was something about the team getting ignited, and there was a bit of a fire happening, and there's more juice because of the excellence and confidence that you have with someone like Duran coming in that they lacked previously. Because it's not the same feeling when Orion Kerkering takes the mound. It's not the same feeling when it's Matt Strahm or Jordan Romano because everybody else is down. So, unfortunately, this is what you got to go with. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Augie. You're on WIP. Yo, Augie.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing lovely. Hey, long-time listener. I'm a born and raised guy from Philadelphia. I now live in Tennessee, but I've been a Phillies fan for all sports for a very, very long time. Raised my kids that way, and we come back every year to try to come to as many games as we can. Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Phillies. I want to give you guys an analogy tonight, and I want to hear your opinion, and after I'm done, you guys can talk about it. I want you to recall the 2008 to 2011 time frame for the Phillies. We obviously won those series 2008, got to the series in 9, lost in the playoffs in 10, and then had a real bad 11. After that, the team got broken up. I want you to consider this. We obviously got to the World Series in 2022, lost. 2023, poor performance with the Diamondbacks. 2024, even more bad performance with the Mets. Can you consider the fact that perhaps we are doing with the Phillies right now, and I've been listening to your show all night here, could you consider the fact that we are possibly doing the reverse of 2008 to 2011, with 2025 being the World Series victory and going back and having all those poor successes from the past 3 years? And I'll let you guys comment from there.
Yeah, thank you, Augie. I appreciate the call. I never heard that spin on it, because you're right. It normally is you're just following the trend of 08, but you didn't get the World Series. So we're essentially starting in 09. And 2022 was 09, where you got there and you fell, that team to the Yankees, and then every year it got worse, one round at a time. But can we tie a bow on this era of Phillies baseball where it looks like it's trending and following suit, and it's, here we go again. It's just we weren't able to cash in, and now this is going to be more painful because at least with the 08 team, while we were starving for more and we thought we had the talent for more, at least we got the one to give us the nutrition we were looking for. Can they tie a bow on this with the final year with Kyle Schwarber here, with JT here? And maybe they still are. There's still time to figure out what's going to happen once the offseason hits and whatnot. But can that put a cap on this and say, we did it? 1,000%. 1,000% I could see that happening.